Okay, no one talk now. Somebody would like a full ticket, raise your hand.
So I'm trying to
So tell me what to write, Ellie.
So 15x.
I'll make sure you say f prime equals.
F prime of x equals 15x to the fourth minus 12x squared minus 3.
Pause right there. Sometimes I get very generous with the tickets as my excitement level rises, so Ellie's got her ticket. Somebody else? Logan's already got one. Somebody new? Sammy?
You can take out a negative, just a 3, or a negative 3. Let's just do 3.
Tell me what to write.
Okay, so f prime of x equals 3 parentheses at 5x to the fourth minus 4x squared minus 4.
You would need to talk about that. So, Sammy, what would we need to be doing next?
I have no idea.
Ticket for Sammy? Melissa, please.
Did you make a sign chart
Of what?
of what you would do?
Oh, sorry, that's not what I meant. When I say make a sign chart of what, I need you to say f or f prime.
Oh, F prime.
Very good. So I need a sign chart of f prime. And a sign chart of f prime will, okay, Isaac asked which method of sign charting was easier. There's not an answer to that. I don't know. One thing that is always easier is if you can factor what you are charting, it's always easier. So this should look like a quadratic to all of you. This is going to help me here in a second. So that means that's likely factorable on the AP test. Okay? It's not a quadratic exactly because this is to the fourth power, this is squared, but it's of the same kind of pattern. So that means it's likely factorable. Here's how I recommend, look, if you're already good at factoring, just keep doing what you're doing. If you find yourself struggling with factoring, please change to my method. Because I'm kind of biased, I think my method is easier. So here's my method. Melissa will help me. I got f prime here. Got a 3. Factor a quadratic, I get like this. All you have to do is ask yourself, I need something that's very symmetric that multiplies to make 5x to the fourth.
X squared,
Multiplied by.
5x squared.
Okay, pause right there. That is the perfect response. And you need to talk more about that.
Is there a reason why x squared goes first, 5x squared goes second, or does not?
Well, awesome. I'll get you to answer your own question. If you have 3 times 5, or 5 times 3,
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
doesn't matter. No, it's a good question. No, really, keep asking. Everybody, look, don't stop asking. This is very unusual, but Isaac gets a third here. The key is don't stop asking. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Look, it doesn't matter how simple you think the question is. You should always ask. Because otherwise you do not get a stronger and stronger foundation. What happens is when you don't ask, I don't want to talk about what happens, okay? Bad things. Really. Tears, bad things happen, okay? So just keep asking. You know, people come to my desk after a test like, how did I get a 42? And they're just crying, you know. I'm like, because your foundation is so weak. You got to strengthen your foundation. It's really true. Like I said in the nicest way possible, but it's, I cannot, I must speak the truth. Please, Brock.
Okay, well, you asked her what symmetric can be with equal, I don't know what that means. What is symmetric? So I don't know what that means. Like,
You guys came to the right day for coming after school. What I meant was, when we're factoring a quadratic, it doesn't work so well to say, you know, what multiplies to make 5x to the fourth, and then you write 5x to the fourth times 1. Like that's true, but it doesn't have a symmetry. Symmetry means there's a bit of a balance to it. So this won't balance perfectly because of the 5, but can you see that there's a bit of a balance here? No, this is x squared. I hate when I do that. You guys watch me do it all day long. This is x squared, this is 5x squared, so there's a bit of a balance there. You don't want to put x and 5x cubed. That's, symmetry is not exactly the right word, but I couldn't think of what else to kind of convey the general idea. Does that help a little?
Yeah.
Okay. Melissa's back. So now, what all of you, look, everybody look up. Here's where people get confused. Do not look at this. Ignore it. Completely. Just go to the easy one, right here. Pay no attention to positive and negative either. Melissa, easiest question of the day. What multiplies to make 1? 1 and 1. Okay. Melissa's earned her ticket. Somebody else who'd like one? Just have to be willing to join my little podcast here. Maggie. Okay. Maggie. All you do now is you just multiply out what you have. Once you get it written down, it'll become easy to make sure it's right. So, you're going to take and tell me what's x squared times 5x to the squared.
Is it 5x to the 4?
Yep. Okay, now you're going to multiply this one times this one. What do you get?
X squared.
Notice how I'm leaving off all positives and negatives. They just get in your way. Just don't write them down. These two, Maggie?
5x squared.
Now these two.
1.
Okay, question. Maggie's still in, so don't leave. Okay. Now, Maggie, all you've got to do is tell me whether I should write a plus or a minus here, plus or a minus here, and a plus or a minus here, so that this entire expression looks like this one. So tell me, what plus and minuses do I write?
Plus, minus, minus.
Okay. Question. Look, you guys hear me drone on about this over and over again. Look, look. The difference between this test score and this test score is a person who has no clue how to use that. Like, all you do is pay attention to what is equal to what. That's all you're doing. So the blue is definitely equal to the brown. It has to be, because we're not changing it, we're just rewriting it. So, Maggie, the first one we're good. These two definitely multiply to make 5x to the 4th. We now must identify, let's see, these two multiply to make x squared. Therefore, I know one of the signs that goes over here. What do I need to write here so that I get an x squared here, a positive x squared here?
Positive.
Positive where?
In between the 5x squared and the 1.
Does that feel really good?
Yes.
Perfect. I've got to get this one now. So what do I need to write over here to make this work?
A negative sign in between the x squared and the 1.
Last thing you do is you check these two. -1 multiplied by +1 is definitely -1. Everything works. Okay. Questions so far? Please.
What if we had something like 5x to the 3rd minus 4x squared minus 1?
I cried. No, I'm serious.
Seems a lot harder.
Yeah, if I'm taking the AP test and they give me something like that, where this is 5x to the 3rd minus 4x squared minus 1, I don't know of any way to factor that.
Without
I'm
a
just going to have to
calculator?
somehow try and figure out what to do without factoring.
Could you do it with a calculator?
I don't think I could do that either.
Jeez.
Okay, look up. Did I just take a ticket, Maggie? I lost track. It's very short memory. Old age. Okay. Need another volunteer. What comes next? Let's go, Ellie.
Can you do the sign chart now?
Now I want to do the sign chart.
Of F prime.
Nicely done. Hey, another difference between these two test scores, it's exactly what Ellie just did. It's not being specific enough. It's like you say, I need a sign chart. They say, of what? And they go, I don't know. That's a big problem. Like you have to know what you're sign charting. So we'll put a little more pressure on Ellie here. So she's got it, we'll just leave it right there. And you gotta stay with me or I'll come take it away. Okay.
Oh, sure, okay.
So I make my sign chart. Got different values of x, I've got different values of f prime. So what's the first thing I must do, Ellie?
Find what would make f prime times 0
Or undefined.
or undefined.
So Ellie, what x's will cause f prime to be 0?
1.
And this is a place where a mistake often occurs. This is back to Brock's comment. Here's where symmetry is important again. So what other value that's awfully similar to 1 will also cause f prime to equal 0? So you plug in a 1. 1 squared is, say it, Ellie, 1 squared is?
Is 1.
1 minus 1 is?
0.
Good. At that moment, you don't care what this is,
Yeah.
because 0 times whatever would be 0. So you found one of them.
Yeah.
What other value when squared will equal 1?
-1.
There we go. Brock,
What?
those two values are symmetric about 0 because they're on equal distance from 0. So that's a word, that's a use of the word symmetry. -1 and 1 are symmetric about 0. I don't know, that's not really helping, but whatever.
No, yeah.
You good, Ellen?
Yeah.
Questions, anybody? Okay.
There's another one.
What's the other one?
The square root of -1/5.
So what's the square root of -1/5 squared?
It's -1/5. The square root of -1/5 squared.
So remember, this is what Maggie was asking about.
Oh, it's negative square root of 1/5. What?
This is some decimal, like it's negative something.
Yeah.
This is the same negative something. When you take a negative times a negative, what do you get?
Positive.
You get a positive. So this is positive 1/5.
Oh, I see. Because there's no way you can get 5x squared to equal a negative number, so you can't get that to be 0.
Everybody look at the board. Everybody look at the board. You have to be able to recognize that. We're all looking. Don't emphasize. I get all excited. You have to look at this and say, there is no x value, no real value for x. We're not doing imaginary for this class. No real value for x that will cause that factor to equal 0. So you have found the only two factors of f prime that will cause f prime to equal 0. Maggie, by your expression, I sense
I don't know.
discomfort. See if this helps.
Okay.
We're going to pick a value for x. We're going to plug it in here. You okay with that? We're going to square it. We really only have a few choices. We can pick a positive value, we can pick a negative value, or we can pick 0. Everybody watch this. This is a really easy way to test. It's back to this idea that if we just pay attention to signs, that's all we really need. Maggie, if I take a positive x, plug it in and square it, will the result be positive or negative?
Positive.
Times 5 would be still positive, plus 1 would be, so is that okay? So I know that if I plug in any positive value for x, this will be positive. Are you good with that? If I plug in a negative value for x, first thing I have to do is square that value.
Positive.
There we go. You see it now.
Well, yeah, but how? positive and negative, let's sure use that bit and it's zero.
Let's keep talking. Are you comfortable that we're ignoring this?
Yeah.
Because if we can find an x that makes this 0, the rest won't matter. What I'm saying is, are you comfortable that there's only 3 types of x's we can plug in?
Yeah.
So we test all 3 and none of them make this 0, we should be done
Oh, if it's like +1.
because of the plus. If that said -1, we could find it.
Okay, and because if it's +1, then it can put a negative to counterintuit it, but negative.
That kind of okay?
Yeah.
It's good work. Everybody raise your hand, see if you can answer this. Everyone raise your hand and answer this. Come on, think with me. Don't just watch. Don't just watch. We just showed that there is no value for x which will make this 0. Please raise your hand if you can answer this one. Is there a value for x which will make that equal to 0? Raise your hand. Is there a value for x that will make that, actually put a plus there, sorry. What I'm trying to show is there's a plus here. It's never as simple as like oh, it's, I don't know, just gotta think. So there is no value for x which will make this 0. Please raise your hand and tell me, is there a value for x which will make this 0? Hands up. There we go. Let's go Ella. How many agree? 2 points, okay? So what I was trying to say to Maggie is it's not just the plus that I'm looking at. It's the combinations. Question? So now we have that. Somebody who hasn't earned a ticket yet. Cambria, now what?
You can find, like, in between the -1 and 1. Like
You just keep talking, I'll keep writing.
0 would be like a positive.
So this is positive. This would be,
Negative.
this would be, hence this would be
Negative.
perfect.
And then you could check -2. So it's going to be positive, positive, positive. And then check 2, which is positive, positive, positive.
There we go. So Cambria, the correct answer is?
Okay.
Logan? He left. That's been good. Sweet.
So these problems, all these problems basically boil down to find the derivative, factor the derivative, then make a sign chart of the derivative. Seems like these problems seem to just boil down to basically that.
That does happen often, but I would never memorize it that way.
Well, yeah, but.
Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, I just am never going to do that because.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying that's the general steps that you take when you get a. Now there's some stuff in between sometimes, depending on what, like